Continuing, I was going to just do 20 minutes, and I forgot to watch the timer because when I tried to upload the other one, that's how long they told me. 20 minutes was the max. So I went out on the deck to feed the birds. We had hummingbird feeders out there. I didn't have my flowers yet. That was too early in Colorado. You can get them frosted real good in April. And put out some water for the birds and birdseed. And I heard this whoosh, and I got hit with something that spun me around and almost knocked me to my knees. And it wasn't a gust of wind. It wasn't a natural gust that just came out of nowhere. And at the time, I had no idea what it was, but now I know it was an energy weapon. The whoosh. I didn't tell my husband. He was inside the house. He was actually sitting looking toward that deck, but I don't know that he saw that. He was reading the newspaper. I didn't say anything to him because I didn't know how to explain it, what it was. And it was, I didn't get knocked down. I'm not sure which part of my body it hit, but I did get spun around by it, and I did hear it. And it was a Saturday, and we went to, because we were on our way to breakfast with some other people. Then a couple weeks later is when the saga really started, and that was one night at 9 o'clock, a sound like a siren went off inside my head. And it's an ungodly sound, it's an ungodly experience. You don't know what it is. Your husband doesn't hear it because it's a silent sound weapon. And it's coming from somewhere in the neighborhood there. It's coming from a tower somewhere. We didn't have that many towers right around where I live. These big, huge towers came across the lake. Hydroelectric power from Grand Lakeside came through Estes. But it was awful. You can't imagine unless you've experienced it what it's like. And now I know about the voice to skull, and I know people that have experienced that. But I was getting a siren that started at 9 o'clock at night, and it was meant to keep me awake. And it would go all night and let up 6 in the morning or something like that. And of course, you can't sleep. I would go out and walk around the house. I learned to put my headphones on and play my healing music. I had lots of various tapes of healing music and soothing music, sound healing. That helped. I would sit up, and you'd get so tired eventually you'd nod off, but it might just be for 10 or 15 minutes. And this went on for night after night after night through the rest of April, into May, into June, and I'm in survival mode. Now, at some point, I notice that there's a big, huge blister on my right foot, the toe next to my little toe. Some point, probably in May, I noticed this big, huge blister, and of course, I popped it, and I slapped some meds I had on it and put a Band-Aid on it. And that wasn't my main concern because I was getting blasted. I went online and started looking stuff up and started to find, little bits and pieces of what this might be. And they talked about how you could feel you could feel the cold rush of air as the energy came by. And one night I tried to sleep out on the upper deck and tried to bundle up, and I could feel that those waves of cold energy hitting my face. So I've got this going on. If I'd lay down during the day, it would come again. I was not allowed to sleep. It was sleep deprivation. That was the purpose. Sleep deprivation to drive me insane. Because as I talked about yesterday, they did some major sleep deprivation experiments in Russia that were extremely inhumane and cruel and awful. And sleep deprivation is inhumane and cruel and awful and unjustifiable. And they use it. Bradley Chelsea Manning got sleep deprived when they were first torturing her, when they put her in prison for several months. She was tortured various ways, and sleep deprivation was one of them. So let's see, when I have my glasses on, I can't read close up very well. My glasses are for far away. So I was dealing with that, and I had the person who was supposed to have my back didn't have my back, and he was acting weird. Oh, and I forgot to tell about when we were in Arizona in 2009. That's when I started getting he was starting to have the voice changes, body changes, and his eyes would go flat, black, flat. So in addition to being sleep deprived during 2009, I was dealing with a real radical change in him. And I believe that was scripting because I was breaking program, so to speak, and questioning. And so I started to become fearful of him. And that continued into, at 2009, there were several incidents in 2009 where I was extremely fearful. And we had some medical testing. He had some medical testing. I had some medical testing. You don't get medical testing for directed energy weapons that cause voice to skull silent sound weapons in your head. That's not going to solve anything when you're being tortured with weapons. So I'm dealing with that. I'm trying to deal with that. I'm extremely exhausted. It gets to the point where I just stay home and he does all of the errands, because going out and about is more than I can do. And there's some things going on in the neighborhood that start to become very interesting, where people park, who shows up, what they do, how they behave, things like that. But since we lived in an area where it was in the woods, and we had one neighbor that was real close. As of 2001, we lived out there from the time we built the house until 2001 without having anybody right there like that. I went down and stayed. I went down to Lyons and stayed down there a couple nights with a lady that ran a health food store. Actually, my husband went with me. And we got attacked. I got attacked there. This black truck came by. It was really loud, and they use loud, noisy trucks. And I was out getting some stuff out of the trunk of the car. The truck turned around and revved the motor and then drove real fast back toward me. And there was a horse trailer or a metal trailer of some kind parked to my left. And I heard a ping as that truck came zooming at me. So I believe that was the ping of an energy weapon, and it hit the truck instead of me. And I don't know how how strong that one was, but that was one of the indications to me that these trucks with the really noisy, loud, revved up motors, and the diesel trucks and the big pipes, all of that is tied in with what they do with the energy weapons. Amplifying the effect, I don't know. The people who, the industry that does this has all the secrets. They know. And we've got several groups of people. We've got the people that do it and know how it's done. We've got the people who know how it's done, maybe don't do it or participate in it, but aren't going to reveal. Some of those people won't reveal because they know they'd be put in the program and they know how awful it is. We've got people who won't believe that something like this could be done to U.S. persons. And we've got the group of those of us who are subjected to this. So, and then we've got the higher ups that fund everything and call the shots and probably identify who's going to be the next one and all those kinds of things. But it's an industry. Many people involved, and that's why there's such a big cover-up too. I don't know how you choose to, I didn't join the military because I'm not a person who wants to say yes ma'am, yes sir, and stand in line. I was a teacher. I am a teacher. Teachers are teachers all their lives. Once a teacher, always a teacher. Lifelong learners, I think most of us are. There were a few people teaching that probably were there for the paycheck, but most of the teachers I taught with were extremely hardworking people who cared a lot about kids. And the time that I started teaching was when the organized network of people who were trying to change some things in our country went after the educational system and started to get some of their people elected to school boards, and they wanted things changed. There were, part of teaching is to encourage kids to be critical thinkers and to think outside the box and to investigate and to learn about things they're really interested in. And what I was seeing during the time I was teaching was that they were trying to get us back into the box and get the kids more out of all coming out of the same factory line. I think that's one of the reasons I was drawn to the computers, is because that gave you more another tool of creativity. And since I had been a music teacher first and I had the music background. So anyway, back to the chronology. I survived by using music. I told you I put the headphones on. Music, prayer. I did a lot of praying, and humor. There wasn't a whole lot of humor there at first, especially when I was still dealing with the person that I most needed to help me, and I wasn't getting the help. He would go and do the errands and buy the groceries and that kind of stuff, but he couldn't provide the emotional support, and he didn't say, let's find out what this is. And there's a reason for that too. There's several reasons for that, I believe. So, since my mom had been so sick, I thought, well, if I get out of this valley because I'm at a high altitude, and whatever is happening to me here and wherever this is coming from, if I get out of this valley and go back to Ohio and spend some time with my mom, maybe that would be a good thing to do. So a family member agreed to fly out and brought another person with her to help load up the truck, and we put some stuff in a U-Haul, and I brought two of the cats and the Springer Spaniel, or not the Springer, the Siberian Husky. I brought her with me because my husband was working at the golf course. That was his retirement job, and leaving her alone all day was really difficult. So I brought the animals with me, and then the cat we had adopted stayed with him. And there was some scripting and staging involved in the whole loading up the truck, and when we left, it took a few days. I had a lot of the stuff packed, but I didn't have everything packed. And all of a sudden, one of the people needed to be back for something just post haste. And I believe that was possibly scripted and staged as well, now that I know how these things work. I have the Elizabeth Warren syndrome here with my glasses sliding down. She's always pushing her glasses back up. Leaving there was extremely difficult, but I felt like I had to do it to survive. I didn't know if I was going to survive if I stayed there. And we left June. I didn't tell a lot of people I was leaving, but a lot of people knew it already because they were in the network. They were part of what was happening to me. I had gone over to Mrs. Smith's house at one point and asked Mrs. Smith, somebody was showing up to stay at the house across from me. And it was somebody that had not been a fan of mine. When you're teaching, especially where I was teaching, some of the parents were very, very opinionated, and some of them don't like you. There were a few teachers that were real sweet and nice and everybody loved, supposedly, but I was in 5th grade the majority of my regular classroom time, and the curriculum is more challenging there, and I didn't do everything perfectly. I made mistakes. We all do. That's part of being human. But this person was showing up and staying at the house across the way. Well, that was part of the terrorism, the terrorizing, is to have things like that happen. This person showed up, at this place where I was and this place where I was, and over the years, and all of a sudden there that person is staying at the house across the way and had never stayed there before. I went to talk to Mrs. Smith because she knew this person, and I said, that's kind of unusual. Are you guys still having your once a month dinner group or whatever? And she said that this other person wasn't in it anymore. And then I told her, I said, I've got this issue with I'm not being able to sleep. I'm hearing this weird noise. Bob can't hear it, but I can. And her comment to me was, that could drive you insane. And that was the first time that I really got a clue about what the goal was. I didn't, as I said, I was still learning. I hadn't been on the computer a whole lot, because when I was on the computer, I get zapped through the computer. It was a little laptop. Okay, we're almost up to 20 minutes, so I'm going to stop there and continue.